Hetepu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Qesankh Kepaluru with a new and exciting video for you. In this video, we're going to talk about how most online dating coaches are frauds. We're going to talk about that and much more. But before I go into that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. And if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. If you're interested in knowing more about my spiritual teachings, you can scroll down below. There are 4 links. Click on one of those 4 links and download a free ebook that will expand more on my teachings. However, if that's not good enough for you, you can go ahead and follow that rabbit down the rabbit hole. It will be a great journey for you. And to do that, all you need to do is become a Patreon supporter. You can do so for as little as $1, $5, $10 a month. It's up to you, and you can cancel anytime. You'll get instructional videos on the esoteric, videos that will teach you how to meditate, proper breathing exercises, how to put together a magical amulet, how to do astral projection, how to do self-hypnosis, and so much more. And if you are an Osir level supporter, you'll get all your oracle readings for free. So become a Patreon supporter today. Last but not least, share this video with family and friends so we can get the revolution started. Haru Nefer, may Buddha bless you. Grand Rising. So, want to apologize for being MIA. I've been doing a lot of work lately, and you can tell my voice is a bit hoarse because I'm got a bit of a cold coming on. I haven't been sleeping, been working most of the time, getting up at 3 in the morning to communicate with my team in India, my development team. So we've been doing a lot of stuff, and so I'm going to go back to Colombia this weekend to finish taking care of business, and I'm going to tell you guys all about that. It's exciting, as I mentioned in previous videos. I'm trying to hit a different country every month. We're going to have Colombia this month, and next month it's going to be we're having a Las Vegas experience. You'll hear more about that. January, taking a break. February, we're going to Brazil for Carnival. And then it's off to Poland, Germany, and the Philippines. So it's going to be great. Now, you're probably saying, well, yeah, what's this all about? Why are you doing all this traveling and going? Well, it kind of ties into today. But the first thing I want to advise is that if you feel a cold coming on, one of the things you can do, and I've used this for years, is get what we call the wellness formula. And if you take this when you first feel the cold coming on, it helps so much. And when you're getting on the plane, because I have to be ready for a long plane ride, you can't control the environment. A lot of times it could be cold and chilly, especially if you have a cold coming on. It can make it worse because you're going to be around other people who have colds that can give you a cold or make your condition worse. So what I tend to take is 5 tablets of this at least twice a day, maybe 4 times a day. I know that sounds a lot, but it's got a lot of vitamins in there, and it's very, very helpful. So as I said before, I have used it for years, and it's really, really helped. It's not going, if the cold is already there, meaning that you feel the full blown effects of the cold, then the wellness formula won't help that much, and if you want, you can take it as a preventative measure, like you would take a multivitamin. So that's something to think about there. But I highly recommend it. And there's some other things I'll tell you about they're really good, especially if you're traveling, because you, again, don't know what's going to happen. I've had people who've gone to India and gotten sick off certain foods, and there are certain things like charcoal you can bring with you to help you with the the food poisoning or stomach virus or what have you. Another great thing that I wanted to just give you some insight and information on is that, oh wait, before I go into that, I just let you know that sometimes your cold comes on not necessarily due to the fact that of the environment, because when you're not getting enough sleep and you're constantly working, your immune system is compromised. So especially if you're pulling long hours and stuff, you have to be very careful and then take preventative measures like a lot of vitamin C and things of that nature. Even though you don't feel something coming on, just to make sure that your immune system is 100%. And another good thing, I remember there was a girl I was dating at the time in New York, and we had a favorite Chinese restaurant. We would go there religiously for lunch and sometimes for dinner. And I always ordered the same thing. It was broccoli and garlic sauce with brown rice. And we went there for at least a year and a half. And I remember, because I was taking other supplements, but I remember specifically not getting a cold for that year and a half. And I was wondering what happened, because I would usually, when winter hits, I would get either a cold or, feel something coming on. And I think back to that restaurant, and the quality of their garlic was very, very good. So I attributed it to that. So garlic can be very, very helpful if it's quality. So you have to just make sure you're getting some good stuff there. Now, every now and then, I purchase new tarot cards. I have a lot of them. I'm a collector of them. So I've been waiting, no kidding, about 2 years. And I even told the company that produces this, one of the guys, him and I had a conversation about this, because I was upset that these cards, he originally was doing like a crowdfunding thing, and I paid for it, and then he gave me the money back because they decided not to go through with the cards. Then he said they would go through, so I paid for it, and my money got sent back to me again. And then I told him, I said, listen, this is one last time I'm sending you my money. I want those cards. And many of you know that I am I love Star Trek. I'm a Star Trek fan. I missed the convention this year because I got sick, and I was still to this day upset about it, that I missed it, and I said to myself, I'm not going to make next year's, because I had actually bought my whole suit, my Captain Kirk suit, Starfleet uniform. I shouldn't say suit, Starfleet uniform. So I was ready, paid a lot of money, and then ended up not even wearing it. You know what I mean? I was like really upset about that I had to miss it. And I had people that had came in town too, so I was showing them around. So, I literally spent a lot of time with them, going out late nights, showing them around. So I knew that between that and working on, my businesses, it was going to be tight. And lo and behold, I caught something, and I was just in bed. So I said, okay, I'm working myself to death, and I haven't learned because I'm still doing it, So take care of your health. It's important. Finally, he was able to contact me and say, okay, we're going to print now with these cards, right? And I'm like, thank goodness. So I paid for it, and he actually sent it to me. It was very quick, like FedEx. So I was like, oh, cool. And I want to show you them. Give me 1 second, because they are awesome. And the reason why I like them is because they contain on each card, that's the insignia, an episode. Now opening this up here, and there is a book, but I don't need to show you that. And if you look, each card, you have your major arcana and your minor, and then you have images from each episode. And if you're a Star Trek fan, you'll know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the episodes. This is the first ever episode that aired. Where is that at? There it is. Okay. First episode that aired. And Star Trek aired the year of my birth, the year when I was born, which is interesting. So I love these. they stay true to um, the like it adheres to the Rider Waite tarot deck in terms of the structure. As I said, the major and minor arcana, and you have your swords, you have your pentacles, you have all that. Oh, this is a really good episode. I came on that too not too long ago. That's Khan, you know. So these are really really cool, and it's just more so for collecting. I mean, I can do readings with this, you know, but again, it's more so for collecting. You know, Captain Kirk. Okay. So anyway, I collect these, so I just wanted to show off the latest and greatest. And then I got another set I ordered, and the woman, this is her. Well, supposedly this was printed by an AI. So I was like, really? An AI created a tarot deck? So I got a nice little thank you card here. You can see that. Okay. Yeah. And what I liked is not only did she send me the book, but I got a stone in here as well. And you can see that right there. It's like, oh look, I got a stone. That's really cool, super cool. But the deck. Let me show you the deck. And again, this was developed by an AI. Man, AI is the future. I'm nervous. We don't know where we're going with this AI technology stuff. All right. So here's some of the cards, and you can see. Remember, when you're picking a deck, just make sure you pick one where the artwork speaks to you. You know, you can see some of this. And again, it adheres to the same structure. You have the lovers. Funny, I picked that deck. I mean, pick that card. What else did I pick? Two of Pentacles. The only issue I have with what the AI did, the tower, is that some of the things don't really relate. Like, I'll show you. Knight of Pentacles, Seven of Cups. That makes sense, but you know, it's like you gotta like look where this looks like more to me the Ace of Cups, if you know what I mean, not the Seven of Cups. So I don't understand that. Why? Because you got one cup, but you should have seven cups, you know. So things like that, you know, kind of like bothers me. The Hangman. Not really sure how this depicts a hanged man. And the Two of Cups. All right. So that's that deck. It was, again, created by an AI. So these things are supposed to, when you're picking a deck, the images on a deck are supposed to communicate with your subconscious mind. Okay. And it's supposed to encode certain things in your subconscious mind. That was the original intent. You know, now we have people just willy-nilly creating tarot cards with all kinds of just images because they look pretty. But no, there is a specific language to iconography. You know, in our ancestors knew this, the ancient Kemetic Egyptian people, because we developed a writing style called the Metu Netta, the hieroglyphics. And remember, we developed three forms of writing. So the Metu Netta hieroglyphics was just one form of writing. Okay. So yeah, pick the deck that when you look at it, it you know, just it makes you feel a certain type of way. It calls to you to purchase it. You know, that's why, you know, I don't typically go ahead and buy a deck just because I like the art, but I have to just sit and look at it and say, is this saying something to me? Is this speaking to me? And then also, when you're doing readings, there's some days you'll feel like doing a reading with certain decks, and certain days you'll feel like not doing readings with those decks. So it's okay to be fluid and change up. Don't think you have to stick to a one particular deck. That's very important, because your energy changes. Your energy may feel like this, feel like that. I noticed that when I'm doing readings with a deck that's kind of darker, I don't feel like doing that during the day when it's sunny, but at night, I feel I can work with that deck, you know. So that, you know, check that out. And there's all kinds of occult bookshops out there that have decks, so you can check them out. Of course, you can always check out Amazon.com. They're always getting in new decks. I tend to want to support people who come out with decks like an African deck or an African American deck, because I know that they're probably struggling to get the deck out there, and printing is very expensive. So I really try to support them if the deck looks good and if it speaks to me. I try to support them first. What I don't want to support is things like, like Aleister Crowley's deck. When you look at it, you'll see, just strange images to me that are just very disturbing. I don't want to support those type of decks. I'm like, no, this is not. I actually got a couple of decks, and after going through them, I returned them and said, no, I just don't feel it. Something disturbing about this deck. So yeah, don't be afraid to, because there are some really, really dark magicians out there who have created their own decks and they sell them. If it speaks to you, work with it. If you're goth, or if you're deeply into the dark occult, then yeah, get those decks. But I am not interested sometimes in those decks because they can affect your mood, your energy. Okay, so with that said, and there's one deck I did get, and this woman, Danica, I think I showed you guys her deck. I love the deck, but I really can't go into too much into detail in the deck because her deck, she wanted to create a deck with diversity. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to say. I really support decks that have diversity. Like if the Queen of Cups is an African American woman, I'll definitely want to purchase that. So Danica came out with her deck, and it's a deck. It's an all-inclusive diversity, and it has images of people who are disabled, nude people, a lot of nude people, people who are overweight. So, that deck I did support it, but that's not something I can like show many people or do readings with it, because people look at it and see all the nudity, they'll be like, whoa, what is this? You know what I mean? They may be afraid, or the energy may not match their energy, So just be cognizant of that, But the decks, again, have to speak to you. Don't get a deck that is just, you may be iffy on, and like wondering like, hey, should I use this or shouldn't I use this? And also don't do readings if you are not feeling well. That's not a good idea, because that will affect. Like, for example, if you come to a deck very angry and you're doing a reading, the reading may speak to your anger at that moment and not to your query, your question. And you may not understand it's trying to tell you that you need to calm down first. So you'll miss that. You know what I mean? So you always come to the deck at peace. And another reason you want to come to the deck at peace is because you don't want to get upset if you see cards or things that may trigger you. You're doing a reading on like saying possible mate, and you get death card. You get things like that, the Tower, and then you get all upset, or about you going for promotion, you get the Tower card. You got to be at peace, and you have to understand that those cards are not necessarily as bad as you think. Because remember, too, he tells us nothing has a quality in and of itself. So keep that in mind. Sorry, give me 1 second. We're responding to somebody. I'm going to do a video possibly on the Wakanda, the film Wakanda Forever. A lot of talk about that film. And, I've made some comments about it recently, and we'll revisit those to talk about, my feelings on the actual film after maybe after I've seen it. I'm not supporting it. I won't pay for it. So it may be a while before I do that video. Okay. Now, here's what's happening. I want to talk to you guys about something very important. As many of you know, I had a dating company years ago, and it was great. And I had two assistants, both were wing girls. And we took guys out and we showed them how to meet, greet, and talk to women, basically. And a lot of guys had problems of being very, very shy, being very timid. And it was very difficult for us to get them to open up. The girls were very helpful because they formed a rapport with the girls, and the girls were there right with them to help them through the process. And I did that for many, many years. I mean, I was out there probably around 5 days a week at least, going out there and grinding it, But the disturbing thing is that what I am seeing now is that, let's say, when Kevin Samuels, if you're not familiar with Kevin Samuels, please go look him up, started to really rise in popularity. Everybody converted their channel, whether it be a cooking channel, a channel on politics, channel on movies. Suddenly everybody converted their channel to a dating channel. And they started giving out dating advice. People with no experience. Seker Nefertara. Yeah, reminds me of the olden days, right? In my old place, and I was doing it with the microphone here. Yeah. Throwback to the old days. Sorry, I haven't seen Black Adam yet. I do intend to see it. I'll give you my thoughts once I see it and gather them. Okay. So these individuals have no experience in dating, and I'm talking about the men. After Kevin Samuels' death, they all decided to take it a step further. And there's other things out there like Fresh and Fit. There's other dating coaches out there where they want to call themselves experts and gurus or expert dating coaches because now the term pickup artist or PUA is kind of not a good label to attach to yourself because of the Me Too movement and things like that. But and what's really interesting is I know many of these people on social media, and I'm seeing them now talk about how they're expert dating coaches. And I know that they have no skill. And what kills me is that, and I want to say that I'm not being mean-spirited. I don't want to be mean-spirited. But what kills me is that they either are married or in a relationship with a girl who is not attractive at all. So I'm amazed that how are you in a relationship, married, and giving out dating advice? Because I know that let me tell you something. When I learned, when I studied how to become a dating coach or instructor, I went through everything. I studied psychology. I studied the zodiac to understand how signs mix with each other. I studied the Myers-Briggs type indicator. I studied hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming. I mean, I studied everything. And then I went out there. And then I was at all types of events, mingling, going out on dates, recording my findings and what works and what doesn't work. And as I'm not sure if many of you remember, I got into an incident a couple of years ago, actually 3 years ago, I got really upset when I was project manager at a company, and on my last day there, they threw a party for me, and that they said, the two girls came up to me laughing, saying, "Should we tell them or shouldn't we?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And they pulled out their iPhones to Time magazine, and I was in Time magazine. It was a woman, she's a famous European photographer, had photographed me, as she calls it, trying to pick up a woman on the street. What I did was I initiated, you can see me and the woman holding hands. So, I mean, it was a very favorable article in the Times, but I was just like livid because I did not know about that. No one told me that the photographer didn't reach out, and I went and researched her, and she is a legit good photographer, and she did a good write up on me. But I just am calling up people, friends, and they're like, I said, did you know there's a photograph of me in Time magazine? They're like, yeah, we know. I said, why didn't anybody tell me? I didn't know this, you know. But that's my incarnation objective, the 20th hexagram in the I Ching. And the 20th hexagram in the I Ching means it's a tower. It's called contemplation. And that means that you're on top of that tower. So you have a position of prestige, advantage, because you can see everything below. But at the same time, people can see you above. And so that talks about being very careful of your conduct because people can see you. Well, I had no idea about this, that the people, saw this article, and I was like, whoa. And I've been in magazines before. I've been in a lot of magazines, especially when I was into the whole Japanese occult thing. They put me in magazines because they wanted to do feature stories on Americans studying this. So I'm used to the whole magazine thing, but usually the editors will tell you in advance when it's going to press. So I was like, and then my girls were in a magazine, not a magazine, a newspaper, the New York Daily News, printed a whole full page feature on my film War's a Bitch. So that it was, but usually I'm aware of these things, but this was, I mean, I didn't know this woman was even there. Like, I'm like, what was she doing? Like, why didn't she come up and say, hey, I snapped a quick photo of you? I'm like, I don't think I would have been upset then, but just to come out and print it. But anyway, I digress. So I'm just telling you that if you want to study, if you want to be a dating coach, it's more than just sitting behind a computer keyboard and giving out advice that you could read in any dating book. I grinded. I was out there working hard as heck. And then coming to the decision to stop my dating company. And then now I'm seeing this proliferation of all these phonies on the internet giving advice to young men. These people are just opportunists. Let me say this again. You cannot be a dating coach if you are married. You cannot be a dating coach if you're in a monogamous relationship. You may be able to be a relationship coach, but not a dating coach. Because dating changes. Used to be before that everyone was going out on these dates, men paid for them. Now things have changed to where people were going to just for a quick coffee or tea. Now things are changing even more to where they're on Tinder or whatever. And now people are going overseas to meet people from different foreign countries and hook up with them. So there's this constant evolution. And what I'm seeing here, and a gentleman who is part of what we call Passport Bros, give him a shout out. His name is Austin. Talked about if you're a dating coach but don't have any photos of you with women, that's a red flag. And I totally agree with him. So many of these dating coaches, you never see any video of them with women. You're You're so good, but yet I don't see photographs. I don't see video. And you're married? So how does that work? I remember I was posting photos of me with different girls, right? And somebody said, "What, what's going on? Why are you showing all these photos?" I said, "Oh, that's back when I was into the whole dating thing." And that showed that I was legit. I have photographs of me with well-known stars in Hollywood, top A-list stars. But I don't just throw them out there. Some of them I throw out there. But when you are a legit dating coach, you should have photographs and video of you. And a lot of times I don't post the video. I wouldn't post the video because I didn't have permission from the girl to post it. So you'll notice with these dating coaches, they have nothing part of their portfolio, nothing. They're armchair quarterbacks. All they do is sit there and regurgitate the information they read in a book or from somebody else's channel. And I'm so sick of them doing this. I remember the other day, I was like, I should challenge these guys, offer $5,000. I said, listen, one guy I know in particular, such a phony, I wanted to say, listen, look, Duke, you come to Vegas and I'll put up $5,000 that says you can't pick up one girl. Yet you're traveling, speaking on dating, and you're doing your videos always in your home against a white wall, giving out advice, but I've not seen you with a girl. And some of these women are just as bad. There's this one woman who talked about, I think it was like a TikTok short. And let me, because this is important. She's an African American woman, which I don't want to use that term anymore. So when you hear me reference ADOS, Americans Descendant of Slaves, or FBA, Foundational Black Americans, I'll use that. So she's ADOS, right? And she was telling a story of how she was walking in, I guess, Walmart, and there was a very good-looking guy, and he was stocking, I guess, the counter or something, the wall. And she looked at him and smiled, and he looked back and smiled. And then nothing happened. She walked away, and she was with her mother, who you could see in the background. And she said, "This is how you do it, girls. If that man is not going to chase you, you leave him alone. You don't chase him. This is how you do it." And I'm like, this ignoramus, this Neanderthal. This is not how you do it. This is how you remain single for the rest of your life. And she probably got that advice from her mother not to chase guys. And there's an easy solve for what she was doing. Because you see, you miss a grand opportunity for you to get with that guy. You see, women, it's so sad. This is why I like, if you're not familiar with her, then Google her, Dita Von Teese. She exudes femininity, seductiveness. You see, women have lost the art of seduction, feminine wild, knowing how to get a man without trying. Dita Von Teese was in burlesque. She did a lot of burlesque stuff. I used to go to burlesque shows. So it was an easy solve for this ADOS woman, but she's too ignorant and closed-minded to understand. And it goes back to the old days. Very simple. You walk by the guy, you smile, you keep walking and pretend to drop a handkerchief or your keys. And you keep walking and he'll pick it up and he'll bring it to you. And then you thank him and then initiate a conversation. It's called passive aggressive. It's called seduction. It's a very old, tried and true technique that the women used to use back in the 20s, the 30s? Walk by, they used to drop their handkerchief. The man would pick it up. They would say thank you and then start the conversation. How simple is that? But yet she's telling women, don't chase the man to be alone. What if that was your soulmate? What was that, your twin flame? What if you were with him in the past incarnation? See, too many people are giving out bad advice. And they're arrogant about it. And it's so sad to see these young people following their advice. What's a portfolio of Star Trek? What do you mean by that? Can you clarify? Oh, this makes me think of a story. Back in high school, I went to an art high school, and I know that there was a girl that liked me, right? Um, and I didn't even think that I didn't realize she liked me, but every day after school, well, I found out that she had the technical manual to the Enterprise, and I would ask her. She wouldn't lend it to me, but she said, "I will bring it for you every day," and we could sit down for about 30 an hour after school, and you can just go through it and review it. And sure enough, we did. She would bring it, I would review it. And I did not realize that she was doing that because she liked me. I just thought, oh, how cool. I get to look at the technical manual. And back then, the technical manual was like, what, $150? I was shocked that she had it, you know? So um, women have to be clever. Use seduction to get the guy. You don't have to chase him. There are other ways to go about it. Now, back to these male charlatans, these dating coaches who are out there knowing that they are married to ugly women. Sorry, I had to say that. And trying to give you advice on getting together what they call tens. I'm like, you don't have a 10 yourself. How are you telling advice on getting with a 10? And then they're all using Kevin Samuels' talking points, which are incorrect. See, Kevin Samuels was a great marketer. You have to give that guy props. Give him his flowers. Oh, we should have. He's gone now. He created the concept of the high value man. That's a man who, among other things, makes at least $100,000, has made at least $100,000 for over three years, I think. And he was hooking women up with high value men. And he was telling women what to fix about themselves. Of course, women were like, he's harsh. You know, he should deliver it softer, the message softer. Well, unfortunately, our society has allowed things to break apart and deteriorate. And this is all part of the cabal, the conspiracy to destroy Black men and Black women's relationships. Because there are a lot of issues going on with us getting together. And that is not our fault. It's caused by the ruling elite and a social engineering culture of decadence and dysfunctionalism. They promote dysfunctionalism. They promote the Cardi B's. They promote the get in the bag. You know, they promote the materialism, but they don't promote looking at a person's character. If they're a person who's going somewhere, do they have potential? So many people in the Black community, many people are not hooking up, not having successful relationships. And they're turning to anyone they can to help them. And along comes these opportunists who see a way of making money, who have no skill in dating, who all they can do is sit behind that keyboard and give you advice, but they can't go out to a pub, a club, a social gathering, and show you how to have a conversation, show you how to be social, show you how to be charming, show you how to be attractive. They can't because they don't have the skills, which is why you never see them with beautiful, attractive women. You don't. There's a time all I was dating was models. And I have like a photo album of just me with different models. But I was never cocky about it. I never went around calling myself a high value man, because you don't need to be a high value man. That was just a little marketing thing. And we'll explore that later. So I decided to get back into the game, to start helping people and matching them up. So working with the Passport Brothers, and you can look them up online, I created a company called World Passport Bros. And the goal is to travel to different countries. A two-part goal: to travel to different countries with the possibility of either starting a business, working from that country, relocating and working remotely, and also finding a woman that you can settle down with. And the goal, as I said in previous channels, one of the really great goals about this is to reunite with our family. And I told people this, and they were like, well, why do you want to go overseas? Because I say they have a rich culture that has not been dissipated by colonialism, by racism. There are Afro-Cubans, Afro-Colombians, Afro-Brazilians, a big community of Afro-Brazilians who still retain their language. Well, some of them retain their language and their traditions and their culture. They are our family. And you are just going there to reunite with them. You see, the boat had us all on there, and the boat didn't have Brazilians, Jamaicans, Haitians. No, the boat had Africans. And when they dropped us off in the different parts of the world, and we adapted those titles, those nomenclatures. And we use that to separate ourselves. Well, I'm Dominican. I'm Colombian. No, we're all family. So you are just reuniting with your family. Stop looking at the United States as the end all and be all. When I went to France, I had the experience, which was a wonderful experience, that it just opened my eyes to say that, I feel it's funny. This guy, I was at the French Riviera, as they call it, and he comes up to me and he goes, brother, we brothers. I was like, yeah, what are you trying to sell me? And that was a wonderful experience, just meeting those guys and talking to them and finding out, what is it like here in France? Is it, because I know they're, and looking at history too, don't forget that there was a lot of noted Black stars who couldn't make it in this country and had to go over to like Paris to make it. And they talk about how racist America was compared to these other countries, and how they were afforded opportunities in those other countries that could never get here. There is a wonderful story, and this is a modern story of a young Black man who went to Japan to live. And you can look the story up, and he got an opportunity to do a commercial. I don't think he started out as an actor, but he said, oh, let me just throw my hat into this acting thing, and ended up doing a commercial. And then that commercial led to another commercial, and that commercial led to another commercial, until he became a national sensation in Japan. This Black man became a national sensation in Japan. He walks down the street in Japan, and the girls are want to talk to him. They're giggling. And the men are like, wow, everybody's starstruck by this guy. And he talks about his experience. There's another man, he started a business. I think it was like a donut business or a cupcake business. And he moved from America to actually start that business in Japan. And he said that the Japanese didn't show any like aversion to him because he was a black man. They came and they supported him, even through COVID. That doesn't mean that, you know, in these countries that they're not without problems. They still have racism. You still have your lighter skinned Puerto Ricans and your dark skinned Puerto Ricans, and the lighter skinned Puerto Ricans don't like dark skinned or black people, even though they come from the same origin, the Taino Indians. Ricky Martin came out a long time ago saying that our music, our Puerto Rican music, comes from Africa. And we have to give thanks to our African ancestors. All ties back. So I started this company. It's called World Passport Bros. You can go there and you can sign up for free. And we're going to try and hit different countries every month. And you'll see that there's a big world out there. There's a big family out there. And I did a lot of studying into the effects of racism in Colombia, Venezuela, Cuba. And remember, Castro had said he was Afro-Cuban. But the United States had to paint these people as evil. Now, I'm not saying Castro hasn't done some things, but he's done a lot of good things, making education free, healthcare free, acknowledging the fact that they're Afro-Cubans. So I've studied these different countries and how the racism has affected their mindset. And we have similar problems here. But it's not the same problems. Like, for example, if you go to Brazil and Colombia, you're going to see more people that look like you. So when you walk down the street, you're going to see less white Americans and more people that reflect your skin color. And the police will look like you. So this is just for the men. I am going to be doing something really soon for the women. So if you are interested in traveling, dating, meeting people in foreign countries, then check out worldpassportbros.com. Don't listen to these dating coaches online. They're frauds. They're opportunists looking for a quick buck. And I am going to see how I can deal with them. You know, I got to do my readings with the Oracle because I don't know if I should outright expose them or just leave them alone. So the Oracle will have to give me advice on how to handle that. But it just upsets me that they're paying these guys all this money to get bad advice. And how are these guys' wives okay with them claiming to be dating coaches, expert dating coaches, giving out dating advice and selling dating programs? Are their wives complicit in this? Have to be. You know, and that's sad. And this is the last thing I'm going to say on this. When I went overseas to these various different countries, the one thing I noticed is that our brothers and sisters are people of color. One common thing about all these people in these different countries, and even in Africa, and we're going to hit Africa too, are poor, impoverished, oppressed. And I sit back there and I wonder, how did this happen on a global scale like this? On a global scale like this? How did this happen? How did they seize control of the planet, raped these continents of the natural resources, and put our people in abject poverty? I was dating this girl in New York, right? And she was a real estate broker or agent, whatever you want to call it. And she would take me to these lavish apartments, and she would be telling me who would live there. You know, some of the stars, some noted names would live there. But it wasn't really a lot of stars. The majority of it was just unknown people. And I said to myself, how could they afford this? And she would just like throw numbers out there like it was nothing. Oh, this one's a million five. This is a 2 million apartment. And you would just look at it and just like, I can't believe people live like this. She showed me a house where I just didn't want to leave. I said, I want to die in this house. It's so beautiful. Oh, it's a $3 million house. It's owned by such and such. And I'm saying, where did these people get this money from? Well, it's obvious. When you have raped other countries, Queen of England amassed wealth through what? Colonization. Sun never sets on the British Empire. That's how they got there. She got her money and her wealth. Pope, rich as all heck. Go down to the basement of the Vatican. Stolen artifacts from ancient Egypt. Secret documents from ancient Egypt. Stealing and raping is how they got that money. Meanwhile, the majority of people on this planet of color live in poverty. And don't get it twisted. There's some good white people who recognize this and they want to change this system and correct this. As I told you the story about I was in my Uber headed to the airport and it started to rain really bad in Colombia. And I saw a man out there in the rain. I think he was selling candy, walking from car to car, selling candy in the rain. And before I can get the money out of my pocket just to give to him, I didn't want no candy. I wanted to give it to him. My driver, the light had changed green and we pulled off. And I felt so bad that I delayed. And these are good people. And this system of racism has taken everything from them. And this system of racism has ruined our relationships here in America. It has taken our culture from us. To where we can't find our way. This is why I tell you, value the Kemetic spiritual system. Go to bat for it. Promote it. Talk about it. Christians are always talking about Jesus. Because if you don't, they're going to steal it. And they've already stolen it, claiming the Egyptians were white, and that's not true. And many Egyptologists now are coming out and stating the truth that they were black. But you see, you're throwing away your own spiritual tradition to accept another man's spiritual tradition, which is this Christianity. And all Christianity has is a good PR person. That's why it's so pervasive, so ubiquitous across the planet. And what I mean by a good PR person, because Christians have done some of the worst evil and atrocity on the planet. Christians have engaged in wars that have killed millions of people. Done the most horrific things. Yes, Christians. I don't see Buddhists launching missiles to attack other countries, dropping bombs on Hiroshima. I don't see Buddhists doing that. So anyway, on that note, gentlemen, guys, go to worldpassportbros.com. Check out the website. Join for free or pay. We have a paid membership that'll give you a lot of great benefits. And from there, I will be broadcasting in Colombia, giving you the details as I travel from country to country. Remember to hit the like button on this video and donate to the channel if you are in a position to do so. And don't forget, this is Qesankh Ma'at Kaparu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. Ma'at is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next video, I'm in Ra.